we got going on here? We got Tom. I see Tom. I see Tom. I see Coach. What's going on? This is not the smartest guys in the room. We got T Dizzle in the house. How you doing, Tom?
What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? How you doing?
Would you rather be T Swift, T Dizzle, TL? What do you T Land? That's a pretty good one.
So I've had a few nicknames. In high school, I was Tommy Dogs.
Okay, I like that.
And then in my 20s, a bunch of friends. By the way, Dom, we lost your video on the live stream here. It just says D. There we go. There you are.
I shut it off, so that's strange. Go ahead.
Well, don't do that. We got to see your face, man. Got to see that Nirvana shirt you're wearing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then in my 20s, I was LJ, which was because a bunch of those guys knew my father also, and we both are Tom Langan, although we have different middle names, so we're not like second, third, fourth, whatever. So they called me LJ because my last name is Langan for Langan Jr. So I got introduced to everybody as LJ in that group. So like all of the people I knew kind of socially in my 20s in the town where I grew up, everybody called me LJ. And then when people knew me as LJ and then found out my name was Tom, they were very confused. So yeah, I've had some nicknames. I don't know. You can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner, I guess. I don't know. That's a stupid thing to say, but I said it. Can't take it back. Haha.
It's all right. You do you, man. Okay. We got our buddy Coach in the house. We got Harry Spade in the house. So you were telling me some about silly things that you did. What do you got, man? What's on your list today?
Well, I don't know if I actually mentioned this one the other day when we were talking, or like last week or whenever. I don't know. I do stupid stuff every day. I think everybody does, right? But it's often like these silly little things where you just kind of stop and look at yourself and like, just go, what are you doing, man? Like get it together, right? Like get it together, get your head out of your, you know what, right? And pay attention to what you're doing. But, I like this morning, I was telling you, I went for a swim, in a local, swimming area near me in a pond, lake, whatever you want to call it. Was heading back home, got in the truck and went to start the truck and was like, where are my keys? And realized that my key, because what I do is I take my key off of like the key ring and it goes with me when I go swimming so I can lock my truck or whatever. And so I had left the key in the door. So I'm sitting in the truck, windows are up, like looking for my key everywhere. And all of a sudden it just like occurred to me, hey, dum-dum, the key is still in the door, right where you left it when you unlocked the truck before you got in. So just stupid things like that where you could just kind of pause and like kind of face palm yourself, right? But things like that remind me that every week when we come in here, I'm in the right place because I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the room if I'm doing stupid things like that.
That's fair. I got one of those little tiles on my keys, and like talk about apps and things that are great now, except for it running out of batteries. I have it on my wallet. I have it on my keys. And when it has batteries, it's the greatest, like,
Hey, I don't know if Dom, you're in the vortex for me there, buddy. You're frozen. Your video's frozen, and your audio is breaking up like crazy. Is that I don't know if you can relink. Are you hardwired? Are you flying dangerous?
Maybe I switched it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I gotcha. I can hear you now. Nope. Take it back. You're all jittery and jumpy, and your video's freezing up. And
I think my video is screwy. How's my voice?
Your voice is better now. Are you flying dangerous with Wi-Fi?
I don't know, man. Let me look and see how I'm connected.
Well, oh, I don't know. You left. You came back.
Forget about me. Come on, forget about me. Let me look up these connections.
Oh, there you go. Well, now you're clear. Now you're crystal clear. So I wonder if you were like, it was using the Wi-Fi connection when you turned the Wi-Fi off.
I gotta go. I haven't figured that out yet. Hold on here, man.
All
right, so let's go on.
All right. Well, so obviously we're not the smartest guys in the room.
Yeah, we're not the smartest guys
are connected to the internet.
No, that takes me a minute. I'll tell you. So I'll just go a little authenticity. I went to a Luke Bryan concert on a bus this weekend, and some friends wanted to go on the bus. So the guy was good. Blah blah blah. But what I saw hamburgers there. I saw waters. I saw Powerades. I saw all this stuff. And then let's say in the middle of the night, my stomach was kind of hurting. And my wife said, "What'd you eat that day?" And I said, "I had 4 carrots." I remember I put carrots and dip, but I didn't eat any of the hamburgers. I didn't drink any of the water. And the rest of the day caught up with me at 4:00 in the morning. So I wasn't overly sick, but that's what I'll confess to, that I am not the smartest guy in the room because I didn't hydrate, I didn't eat properly, and maybe I indulged in too many frosty beverages. So that's a little truth that I'm going to give you today.
So you're saying that you all you had to eat in terms of food was 4 carrots.
Correct.
And then you went drinking.
Yeah, during that day when I should have been like eating pretzels and things like that, and not taking Jello shots and regular shots and playing beer pong and these other things and flip cup, I should have, and I should have been eating rather than doing all that stuff. I'm sorry to go down this route.
You got to eat more than 4 carrots, dude. I get that you're trying to drop some pounds. You're all excited, but like, but man, you got to eat more than that. Like you got to eat. You still got to feed your body, dude.
It got away. I'm being honest. So this is not the smartest guys in the room. Sometimes that day got away from me. Sorry.
Yeah,
that's all.
No, I've been there. I mean, I don't know that I've been there 4 carrots and then going drinking. Been there, but I've not eaten. I've had days where I don't eat enough for sure. Yeah. So I've been there.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's get on to. Okay, so here's some of the topics we were talking about. So just to get us started, this is not the smartest guys in the room. We do this every Wednesday, as me and Tom have proved with our video connection, with our stories, with our keys and our doors. We are not the smartest guys in the room. I think now we've set a baseline for that. But we try to talk with experts. We try to talk to doers, people that are out there making it happen, maybe who are the smartest people around. And that's where we're at. So some of the subjects, Tom was talking about new ventures. I wanted to talk about projects in the funnel, like meaning somebody comes to you, you're about to make a deal, and then they go away. Then you hear from them, and you're about to make a deal, and then they go away, and then they go away, and then they come back, and then they go away. So that's something that, like, how do you deal with that? How do you account for that? Turning down projects. Is there a time, John, Harry, Tom, where you say, yeah, this project's not for me? Or are you like, yep, add it to the list, because you're trying to pay your bills, you're trying to move forward, things like that. So do you keep taking these projects? How do you know what project is right? Well, maybe somebody wants John to do live video. And he's like, no, I'm great at radio. That's what I want to do. And they're like, John, we need you to spend 20 hours a week doing this. Well, how do you decide? All right. So those are the subjects. Tom, you want to tackle one, or should we let the main man, Harry, tackle first?
Well, I'm curious as to what Harry has to say about the things in the funnel. I personally am not a fan of the terminology, like, of the funnel, right? Like, and I know it's a big sales thing, but I don't really love it because it's like, again, my whole thing is like humanizing the world of business through better communication, right? And it's so dehumanizing to think about people, customers, as like items in a funnel, right? Like, I just don't like the terminology personally. And I know this is not targeted at you because I know you didn't come up with it. Like there's a whole, I forget the guy's name, but there's a guy who built a whole business literally called ClickFunnels, right? Like where it's all about like pushing people through a sales process. And I have no problem with a sales process. I don't like a sales funnel because it's like it's reminiscent of the idea of like herding cattle or like, pushing. I don't know. It's dehumanizing language, and I don't particularly love it. So I'm curious to hear what Harry has to say uh, about your thoughts along the lines of like, what do you do when projects dry up when they're kind of in process, right? Like if you've got a client who's in the sales process already, like what do you do if they just kind of go cold?
Hey, good morning. Let's see. It looks like I am now off mic. I totally agree with you, Tom, on that. I'm not a fan of the word funnel myself, but I understand the word. So I liken it to community, prospective buyers, people who are in my tribe. I use that so I can feel better about people and I'm not just getting through the numbers. But some people will view sales as a numbers game. They'll say things about the click funnels. Russell Brunson, who I believe has got a lot of skills and he makes millions of dollars. I'm not going to judge how he does it. It's just not for me. So if I want to look at people as people, which I do, I look at where are they in the sales process for me? Like, did I have one conversation with them? Did I find out what really is driving their interest? Do I need to know more about them? Do I have to have multiple meetings with people? So all of that is part of selling. So yeah, I get what you're saying. And if for those of us who don't want to view people as cattle, then maybe some of those words might help out. And then just getting back to what Dom was talking about is I'll try not to use the word funnel here, but you've got to have enough people who are potential buyers so you don't really worry about the people that come and go because that's part of sales. People are going to show interest for a while, they'll disappear, they'll resurface, and we just want to just continue to get next steps. What's the next step for you? Let's put it in the calendar and then see, and then things will go cold. They'll say things that have come up, but the longer you're in business, the more you will see people that have come back and forth or gone back and forth over the course of months and sometimes years before they decide to finally sit down and do business with us. So yeah, it's a process and not everyone's the same and we can't compare people to someone else because everyone is unique. So yeah, it's all about having enough potential buyers so that we're not getting stressed over um, doing business with somebody that we feel like they have to do business with us. So we start getting slimy with them, start using pressure, we start using guilt. That's not good either. So I feel like I'm talking a little bit too much here, but is any of this resonating here with you guys?
I love it, and I gotta say, I just want to say, Dom, this is not. You're not targeted. We're not targeting you for like using the word funnel.
I want back at it too. Go on.
Go. Have at it. Have at it.
Okay. So the funnel is a metaphor for sales and the sales process. So it can be demonized by, so you meet some guy on the internet who's trying to DM 300 people and he considers this some sales funnel or click funnel or whatever you want to call it. My premise to you guys is the understanding that if you want to make a living in sales or in business, that you have to talk to a lot of people. And like the metaphor of a funnel, you need to put them in at the top and maybe one person comes out at the bottom. So I don't think because you put a lot of people in at the top, meaning I meet somebody, they're not right for me. They don't care about the business I'm in. They don't want to write books. They don't want to share their story. And then at the end of the day, a couple years later, people come out at the end of the funnel. At the bottom of the funnel, somebody completes this sales process. That's the end of the metaphor. Where I come from, being that I grew up, cut my teeth in 20 years of sales, when I say this like this and why I speak so vehemently about it is that sometimes people think, like Harry said, if they don't understand this process, that the facts of life are just because you talk to one person, they might not buy. They're not the right person. It could be their brother could do the same thing as you do. But understanding that whatever business you're in, you will need to put a lot more people in. You'll need to make a lot of contacts. You'll need to go to networking events. You'll need to do all this. And maybe at the end of the day, if you do everything right, somebody comes out at the end of the funnel. So that's why. But I get, like me, I hate like when people are just like, it's numbers, it's numbers, it's numbers. Well, I mean, numbers can be manipulated. Look, you ever go to a baseball game and they're like, this guy bats 300 after the third inning. This guy bats 300 against right-handers. And really, the guy's batting 200 and he stinks, but they can manipulate it anyway. And so that's what you can manipulate a lot of things. So anyway, that's where I'll go. Funnel. I don't hate it as much as you. Go on.
I do. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Dom, and I don't disagree with you. I mean, obviously it is a metaphor. I think the reason why I disagree with it personally, and I don't want to speak for Harry, but I get the sense that he and I are kind of on a similar page, or opposite sides of the same page, or maybe even on the same page. But when it comes to this, but my problem with it is not the metaphor. My problem with it is that when you reduce talking about people to simply numbers, right, in sales, which is what happens, and I think you'd agree a lot, right? In sales, people are not talked about as people. They're talked about as numbers, right? You talk about, what are your sales numbers? How many leads are you bringing in? Like, what's, all of, what are the KPIs for your sales process, right? Like, it's all pushing people away from treating people like human beings and pushing them towards treating them like data points on a spreadsheet or dollars and cents on a P&L. And that's my issue with it, is that it makes it easier, I think, for a lot of people to talk about the community around their business, the community that they sell to, that they serve through their business. Because at the end of the day, remember, all businesses are built to serve a community, right? To serve customers. That, it makes it really, really easy for that business to refer to the community they serve as just numbers on a spreadsheet, right? And I think that's bad all around. I think it's bad for the business. I think it's bad for the community. It's bad for relationships between the business and the community that they serve. So that's my issue with it. Like, at the core, I think it's more of a it's a little bit more of a philosophical issue than an issue with the metaphor itself. I'm fine with the metaphor. Like, I use analogies and metaphors all the time. You know that.
I had some guys recently that in a book, their metaphor was, and I had never heard it. It was about like beating a frog to death, beating a frog over the head with a club. And I was like, guys, could you think you could maybe use a different metaphor? And they were like, yeah. Once I brought it up to them, they were like, yeah, I think we can do that. Hey, Beth was clapping when you were talking, Tom. So we'll go to Beth and then we'll go to John, Prof T, and move around. So Beth, did you want to add something? You agree with Tom? She was clapping for Tom. So go on, Beth.
No, I wanted to say, yeah, as long as you in sales, and I've been in sales my entire life, as an adult, 26 years, but came from a family that owns multiple businesses. But if you come from authenticity and contribution, you'll never lose, because even if that person doesn't need you right now, they're going to immediately tell their friends that, you know what? Well, I know that Beth, let me give her a call because she has a whole list of people that can do these things. What do you need, a lawn guy? I am like a low pressure salesman, and that's why I've been so successful in sales. And it's because I know I can almost read immediately that these people, like, this is not the time for them. It's not the right time that I was in furniture sales before I got into real estate. But I could tell, okay, it's not the right time. So you know what? we're going to hold back for a second. But if you know somebody else that might need something, just give me a call. I'm not here to try to put your house on the market, but if you need a roofer, I can get that. I that is my method in sales, is just coming and being authentic and actually coming in to help. But I'll land my mic.
Thank you, Beth. And to Harry's point and Tom's, if you're doing the right thing, you should given, you shouldn't be stressed out because the deals will keep coming your way. All right, let's meet our friend John J. Up to, did I see you're right at 1 million? What was that? 900 some thousand downloads. Tell us about that, John J. And then what do you got going on?
It's going to be 850,000 downloads of the podcast, probably by 2:00 this afternoon.
What does that mean? Like like for, I don't have a podcast, so I don't understand. Like compared to somebody else saying what does that mean? Tell me about, like, is that ever? Is that this week? What?
It's almost like, consider television, people tuning into a show. How many viewers? Doesn't mean they're actually listening. A lot of people are passive listeners. It's an old archaic term when podcasts were only delivered via downloads through Apple iPods. So it also encompasses streams, and there's a higher number than that because not every website and web company is required to send the stats to your hosting program. So having said that, it's not an actual indicator of listens. That's more your pre-roll, your mid-roll, and programmatic stuff. But you got to have downloads to get people listen. So it encompasses both. So my goal is to be at 1 million downloads by end of January, end of February in total. So, and right now we're 110 radio stations. So I'm very happy with that. When it comes to your question about when do you turn down people, the very first thing I look at is this in my wheelhouse? Can I help them? Is there something I can do to benefit them? And then I look, and the answer is yes, and because I really believe in providing quality, not quantity. Because when I do consulting, when I have clients, I got one client who's getting ready to sign a syndicated radio deal from a podcast and brokered radio show. So she'll probably go from one radio station where she pays for time to 20 in 1 month, and expand her presence and her platform to a lot more people. So, but we've been working together for a year, and she meet the needs. I can help her. There's things I offer. Secondly, the terms, is it worth my time? They have to make it worth my time. I've had people have told no, this has been my wheelhouse, where they've said, yeah, I'll give you such a shortfall in numbers. It's just not worth my time. So that's what I look at. Can I help them? Yes. Can we achieve the goals they're looking for? Yes. And is it worth my time financially? And I'll close on this from old car sales days, where the best deal is where the house is happy, meaning the dealership, the salesman is happy, and the customer is happy. If all three are not happy, it's not a great deal. So that's what I look for. Are they going to be happy? Can I provide for them? And will I be happy? If all three are yes, then it's a go.
Okay, John, let me follow up on that. So let's just say, like, somebody comes to you and let's say it's somebody you don't love, but the money's there, and you're like, well, it's a show that maybe they talk about a subject you don't like, but the money's there. What do you do?
If it's someone, and I've had this happen, if it's someone that I am vehemently opposed to what they do, I'm not getting involved. That's the end of the story. So I really don't get into content too much, but if someone is in an area that is totally diametrically opposed to what I do, it doesn't matter what the money is. I'm just not doing it.
Got it. Good answer. Tom, you want to follow up on that? You're shaking your head. Hey.
just agreeing, just nodding along, just agreeing with John.
Okay, good job.
Yeah, I mean, and that's super exciting for him, and for him and for the client he was talking about. I mean, congratulations, man. Way to go. Really, really happy for you. And wish you guys all the continued success in the world.
Yeah, and think about John. For anybody, if like anybody in this room, I would suggest that you follow him, connect with them, watch what they're up to. John is so consistent. He's always on message. He doesn't pull any punches. He's a straight shooter. He'll tell you what he likes, tell you what he doesn't like. It's straight. You know where you stand. So I'm a fan. So as Tom said, keep up the good work, man. And how can we ride his coattails when he gets to 1 million? Is there a way we can figure that out, Tom?
I don't know. Maybe we should talk about that. I'm all for riding coattails.
That would be a good name of a show.
I'm not too proud.
The Riding Coattails Show. We just ride coattails. Okay, not the smartest guys in the room. We got Prof T. I'm looking at a picture of Prof T. Prof T, is that Prof T with a new dress on here, pink dress, or is this, what do you got going on, Prof T?
Good morning, everybody. How are you, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, this is Prof T. Teresa Augustinelli from Philadelphia, for those who may or may not know. Yeah, it's a new dress. Did a little bit of a photo shoot. That was a big wind gust, oddly enough, came and the photographer took a quick pic and it was cute. So I'm using it. It's the Barbie theme. Just kidding. I just love this topic, and I'm just going to weigh in because honestly, I suck at sales. All right. Because it's all about psychology, and that's what I do, right? But when it comes to selling my own stuff, I suck at it. And I've been doing this for years. And I've spent so much money on funnels, dude. Paying people to help me make funnels, paying people to be in their Zoom class or buying their little webinar. And yeah, did nothing for me. So here's my thing. This is what I'm going to say. And you guys are all just like totally rock stars. I am not a rock star when it comes to sales or videos and things like that. So figure this out. Just do the math. I mean, when I started in my private practice, you figure working 40 hours a week, seeing 6, 7, 8, 9 people a day. That's a lot of hours. That's a lot of people. And then right before COVID, I started shifting into coaching. And that kind of took a hit because of COVID. And because the first thing people ask me when they call is, do you take my insurance? And there's a reason I'm telling you this, because I used to take insurance, and that's what people think. When you see somebody for mental health or coaching, you write it off in your insurance. So yes, while they may have great insurance, great for them, not good for the providers, because we get pennies on the dollar. I really didn't have to do a lot of marketing. Shift to coaching, whole different animal. So yeah, did a lot of marketing, did a lot of signing up for webinars, did the books with the Branson, and did the seminars, and paid people thousands of dollars to make me funnels. So I believe in networking. That's my jam. That's what I do. And, my husband and I are in real estate. We've navigated over into real estate. And so that's been great because I've been able to put all of my experience with mental health and psychology and speaking into adding value to where people are looking for it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I think you have to find your niche. You've got to find where you want to pivot. If you're going to pivot, you got to be consistent, and then you got to pound pavements, and you've got to find your tribe, and the people will find you. Keep doing the right thing for the right reason, and the right people will find you. And like John Jay said, if the customer's happy, if you're happy, if the deal's happy, if the company's happy, everybody's happy. Happy, happy, happy. Prof T, back to you, sir. Thanks, Tom. Don. Oh, Tom had a question. You said something, you liked my videos. Something about the embarrassing video. Which embarrassing video?
No. What I like, so I think what I said was the videos are all on point. I love the consistency of the video. And then I love on other medias how you're willing to put different kind of things out. So like this picture of Prof T in pink. So on one, let's say on her Instagram, she might show a picture of her getting her hair done or something like that. So she's letting us into more of her world on the other platforms. But it was a LinkedIn conversation, but on LinkedIn she stays consistent with what she's doing over there. So that's why I put out a list of some people on LinkedIn that are consistent doing their thing in their genre that I admire. So that's why.
What was the embarrassed word?
I don't
though?
think I said embarrassed. I'm going to go back and look at the post.
Okay, I got to jump, Dom, but I want to tell Prof T what you said about psychology and sales. Yes, if I did not have a psychology degree, I don't think I would have survived in the real estate market because you have to just stand there and just look at people and really know psychology. But yeah, I love that. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Beth. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Prof T. Hey, Harry Spate, before we get to Matt and Stephanie, do you want to jump in as our resident sales expert in here that teaches sales and things like that? So one, I got to ask Harry on this psychology thing. What do you think about people that are like into match and mirror and fish on a wall and all kinds of nonsense like that? What do you got?
I'm not following that question, Dominic. What am I thinking about? Fish on a wall? I'm not.
Okay, so let's go back it up because I'm talking about the psychology of sales. So some people will point out, look, Tom's got his face. He's side facing me. I don't know what. Okay, fish on a wall. Fish on a wall in sales is somebody comes into your office and they see, like, look at me. I got if you're on the live stream, I got all these pictures behind me. One's of Muhammad Ali, a picture of Shaquille O'Neal, whoever. And somebody'd be like, oh, Shaquille O'Neal, I really like him. Did you see that time when he had that big dunk? That was great. And now they know that you like Shaquille O'Neal because you put it right on there's Muhammad Ali, the Phantom Punch. Did you know this? So they start to use those things. Is that just basic? I mean, should you be connecting with people, or is that so that's fish on a wall. So
okay.
You have a fish on the wall. Oh, you must be a fisherman. I fish too. So go on, Harry.
All right. So I was thinking that this is some philosophical view of things. I'm like, do I know about the fish on the wall? But I do know about that fish on the wall. Yeah. So I think connecting is all part of what we do. I don't think you have to be very gimmicky, though, in sales. It really comes down to the whole human connection and finding people. I mean, I get the whole click funnel thing that Prof T is talking about. But the reality is, if we're not making a human connection and we are looking for a sale, the buyer is recognizing that we're looking for a sale. If they see that we're there for the connection and we can serve them, it's a lot easier for people who are servant minded to sell. So if I can just go back, there's a lot of little techniques, right? But like the technique of, I see something that interests Tom. I find out Tom's a runner. Tom may not be the small talk kind of guy, though. Tom may have a problem. He wants the problem fixed. And I'm like, tell me about your marathon running. And he's like, dude, I'm not into that right now. I need this problem fixed. So picking up on that stuff is the psychology. I'm not trained in psychology, but I do have the street sense to know that if a person wants to get down to business, we get down to business with those people and small talk afterwards once there's a relationship built. They may not be the small talk type of person. So observing these things, being a good listener, and then politely asking for a good next step. That can take a lot of the pressure off. I think a lot of the challenges are we have a conversation with an ideal prospect and we think they should buy after one or two conversations. And then we start looking in the mirror and say, what's wrong with me? And the reality is we just need more people who are in that stage. We don't want to use the word funnel, but in that stage in our community. The more we have, the less ugly we need to be and the more servant minded we could be. And people will say, hey, Tom, I'm ready to do that now. And that's the best way to sell as far as I'm concerned. So I'll pass the mic back.
All I could think about, Harry, when you were talking then was my sort of like mantra, right? And it's actually the core principle in my book and in my legendeering strategy, and that is lead with value, right? You should always, always, always be delivering value first, right? And then creating opportunity for people in your community to return that value to you. But if you lead with value and use value to lay the foundation for relationships, those relationships over time will bear fruit in sort of in sales, right? Like over time, those relationships, and it may not be direct. And I think that's the place where a lot of people get frustrated and it gets overlooked is like, Dom and I have a really good relationship, right? Like, but at the end of the day, the odds of like me becoming his client or him becoming my client are not very good. But the odds of both of us recommending each other to people in our networks are very, very high, right? And I know that because we've both done it, right? So like it's very, very high, but it's because of that relationship and because I have never tried to sell Dom and Dom has never tried to sell me, right? All we do is bring value to each other. We do this show every week together and have a ton of fun together and laugh together and joke and all of those good things, but we exchange value, and that value being passed back and forth is the foundation of our relationship, and it's the reason why we will over time help each other's businesses, guaranteed. And it's only because we're leading with value. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, Harry, is do not try to make, not everybody you meet is a potential customer, right? But everybody you meet is a potential relationship, right? And if you put the time and the effort and the energy in to cultivating those relationships, your business will benefit from it over time. So I don't know if that, I think that sums up my thoughts on what Harry was talking about. What do you think, Dom?
That's good stuff. It reminds me of this statement people say sometimes, and it's not me, but you'll hear somebody say, I could sell a ketchup lollipop to a woman in white gloves. And they're so proud that they could sell. And then the rebuttal is, why would you want to? Or they'll say, I could sell ice to an Eskimo. And the response, why would you want to? They don't need it. And so here's somebody that is so aggressive or thinks they're doing something. Well, you're just shoving something down somebody's throat. It wasn't value-based or what they needed at all. So,
right. When I hear that, the first thought that pops into my head is you're a con man, right?
Yeah,
like you're basically bragging about your ability to trick somebody into spending money on something they don't need. And in my mind, that's kind of the definition of a con man, right? Like you're tricking someone into spending money on something that's useless or potentially actually harmful to them, right? Like, I mean, look, you can get new gloves or wash gloves. Like it's not, it's not massively harmful, but like at the end of the day, a ketchup popsicle is going to ruin some white gloves, right? Like, and that's kind of what you're bragging about. And I don't think that's anything to brag about. I'm right there with you, man.
There we go. All right. Not the smartest guys in the room. We do this every Wednesday. Share the room, ask questions in the comments. We get down there. We get in the comments too. We sometimes you guys bring subjects up. You all bring subjects up, and then we chat about them. So we're live streaming. We're live streaming just about everywhere. We do that as well. Tom sets it all up. He's good at it. I added my Facebook back, figured out how to do that. So I went one step farther today. You guys think I'm not tech savvy. I'm working on it. So go on.
Yeah, we're on. We're live streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, the app formerly known as Twitter, and all over the internet. So that's what we do here every week. We're on Clubhouse, but we're live streaming all over the internet, trying to bring this group of experts that we surround ourselves with in this space to a wider audience. And the beauty of it too is that it lives on these other platforms, right? So when you go to my LinkedIn or Dom's, Dom's YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you can always watch and rewatch, these live streams. So that's kind of the beauty of this, is that we get to share this with a broader audience, and it lives on in more than just the replays on Clubhouse. And we get to see all the cool stuff that Dom's got on the wall behind him. So you can.
I got something new to show you today too.
I bet you do.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is, like, Tom's in the video business. I'm in the book publishing business. At our root, we both believe there's a lot of great ways to share your story. This is social audio. It's a great way to share your story. Not everybody's going to be on Clubhouse. Maybe, like Prof T just delivered a great message. Maybe somebody's on LinkedIn today and they're able to see that message or hear it, but they don't go on Clubhouse. So anytime you share your message, sure, write a book. I'd love that. Do a video. Tom would love that. Do YouTube. I'd watch it. But there's so many great ways to share your story. And we try to chat with all storytellers here and just break down ways to do that better. All right, Matt, What do you got go on, Tom?
I was going to throw one thing out there and then we'll go to Matt. I promise, Matt. But I was just going to say, to that point, to what you were just saying, Dom, I say to people all the time, people talk to me about starting up a podcast, or, I get questions about how to go about creating a podcast. And I tell people all the time that if you're going to record a podcast, if you're going to start a podcast, if you have a podcast, right, then you might as well film it too. And here's why. I have done this, so this is anecdotal evidence, but everybody I've talked to that I've asked about this has agreed with me and said that they've done it at some point, right? That in listening to a podcast, there's inevitably something that happens, right? And Dom's, our weekly kind of show and tell that we do is a perfect example of this. Like, unless you watch the video, all you're going with is what you hear us describing as Dom's holding up whatever his show and tell is this week, right? So inevitably, something like that happens in virtually every podcast, because most podcasts that we listen to, the people can see each other. If they're not in the same room, they can see each other on video, right? They're video conferencing. So I tell people all the time, record it, film it, record the video, put it up on YouTube, right? Put it up on your website, create a channel for it, because inevitably something will come up and a listener will want to go and see what they couldn't really fully appreciate or understand just from hearing it, right? And they will look it up. I've done this. I bet Dom's done it. I bet most of the people in this room have done it, where you've been listening to something and they've talked about something or held something up or made a joke about something, and you've gone and pulled up the video of the podcast to go to that moment so you can see exactly what they're talking about. And so I think there's a ton of value in delivering across multiple formats whenever you can. So deliver via audio, absolutely. Deliver via video, absolutely. Like, if you're recording the audio professionally, it's not a big lift to also record the video, especially if you're doing it via video conference like Dom and I do, right? We're already both on camera so that we can see each other and converse back and forth. Like, why not live broadcast it, right? It's silly not to. So if you have the opportunity, like, seize it, go for it, put it out in multiple formats, right? Start chipping away at creating digital omnipresence for yourself. It's worth it. So sorry. I just wanted to add that on. It was top of mind and I wanted to say it before I forgot about it. So sorry for jumping in, but now we will go to Matt. And Dom, did you have a question for Matt or just wanted to hear his thoughts?
Matt, well, you see, as usual, we got about 50 subjects going on. So if one of them you thought I needed to chime in on that, go ahead, or offer a tip or ask a question. Go on, my friend.
Yeah, I'm sitting here in Denver, Colorado, live in Houston at a podcast conference. It's beautiful in Denver. It's a lot better than 108 degrees and 100% humidity. But in addition to producing 2 shows, podcasting, I'm in a brutal sales world of ticketing. So I work for a company called eTix, and we're the largest independently owned ticketing provider in the country. And so our big competitors is Eventbrite, Ticketmaster, Axis. I mean, go down the line. And there's hundreds of us. And I've been in the ticketing sales space for almost 9 years now. It's brutal just because there's so few customers and so many ticketing providers. And man, I cannot express this enough. It's all about relationships. I come from 25 years in the music business, directly and indirectly, with a couple of years at the WWE. And man, all my deals that I've closed in ticketing, it's all about relationships. I don't do, set the sales funnel, or what I'll call a sales vertical. I would say 95% of my deals are closed because I take care of the customers, clients that I have, live music venues. And within that process, I went to a show, and I went to this venue in Lubbock, Texas, a couple weeks ago. A place called Kush Garage, holds 5,000 people, big prospect. And I went there. I've been there a couple of times, but I went there 2-3 weeks ago for a show. And I know a lot of these country music guys, so I can go backstage, pretend like I'm cool, kind of like the fish on the wall. I'll go backstage, pretend like I'm cool, which I'm really not, hang out with these artists, and the venue owner will be able to see me interact with those artists. And inevitably, the singers might say something about me to the venue owner. And so I went there. I flew in. I flew in at 6 o'clock, said hello to Misty for 15 minutes, didn't talk about ticketing, slept backstage in the green room, and flew out at 5 a.m. that next morning. I sent an email to her the following week, telling her thank you for the hospitality. Not one time did I mention getting a ticketing deal done with her. And that's my big secret. That's not a secret, stupid. That's my big deal. It's like, man, I'll reach out to prospects all the time that I have some relationships with, not close, but I'll look and see what a live music show they had the weekend before. I'll ask them how that show went. And then they'll inevitably respond. And then eventually I'll come in and start the sales pitch per se. But the sales pitch is, I don't give them software demos. I haven't given a software demo in years. And ticketing, and I sell software. So what I'm really doing is selling the relationship. It's the trust. And I'm very fortunate to have those relationships over the past 25 years. But that's kind of my sales. I hate being a salesperson, but I love being in the relationship business. And that's why I'm in the relationship business, the trust relationship business. And last but not least, like I tell every client services rep within the company, and even clients, it's like, man, you guys are the sales reps. I'm not. If I have one of you guys bitching, one of you guys as in the live music venue or fair and festival, if you bitch about how bad we are, I'm screwed, because you have a really loud voice. And the sales reps are the client services rep in the clients, because they're the ones that know all the other venues and everything else. So that's my 2 cents about the sales world, and especially the ticketing world. If you need ticketing deals, you know where to find me. So there you go. I'll lay in there.
Hey, Matt, thank you very much. You make a lot of good points, and one that really sticks with me is the point that if you're not on the up and up, how many people are they're going to tell, right? So you do a good job, you treat people right, and the artists tell the concert, the venue and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, like, let's say you cut a corner or something like that, how many people would they tell? So like my business is called Motivation Champs, share inspiration 24/7, help coaches, storytellers share their story. If all of a sudden I'm trying to shortcut to make an extra $500 or $1,000 or something like that, how shitty is that going to be when all of a sudden people are like, hey, that Motivation Champs guy, he's really a sleazeball, and he's going to try to get you for, yeah, don't clip that. He's a sleaze, and he's going to try to get you for $100 more. It's wrong. It's the wrong way to do business, and you're doing things the right way. So keep up the good work. All right, man, let's continue this. Not the smartest guys in the room. Hey, okay, I see Kathy. I see Johnny. I see Carrie. Oh, my friend Carrie. Okay, Amanda, what's up? I'm always watching Amanda's. Amanda is very good on Instagram. Her videos, like, they look perfect. So good stuff there. Okay, let's continue here. Not the smartest guys in the room. Kathy, what say you on on all these. We got networking, we got turning down paying jobs, we got the subject of a funnel, we got I guess get value first. So and starting new ventures. How do you know when it's time to start a new venture? So Kathy, have at it or ask a question. Go on.
Hello, hello. Oh my God, I'm so happy I get to talk this time because usually when I'm at this time, I'm either driving my daughter to school or something. So it's great to contribute. Um, where do I want to begin? Oh my God, everything you said, I have a story for. So I'm gonna keep it to maybe one thing, or maybe one thing and a half. The that's I find myself these days saying more no's than yeses to clients. And the reason for that is I truly wholeheartedly believe in finding the right partner for whatever it is that we're doing in life. And especially as a coach, for me, I consider myself a thinking partner. And am I the right fit for them? And if it's not me, who else can I refer them out to? And that's important because it really comes down to time, money, effectiveness, and all of that stuff. So these days, I do find myself saying no a lot more because, it depends on where they are in their life, what they're trying to do. I actually recently worked with an entrepreneur, which I don't work with entrepreneurs anymore. And I made him a deal. I said, okay, we'll do one session at a time because I really think you could benefit from something else. And we did that one session actually yesterday, and it was helpful for him. But again, I'm treading carefully here because I want to make sure he's getting the most out of what he needs, and when he needs it. So the other piece also that I want to say is relationships. I've been in your rooms for a while now. I go to John's room and listen to his podcast expertise. there's I truly believe in that when it comes to sales, it's not about getting them to buy now, and some of the examples you gave, Dom, it's not about that. It's about when the timing is right. I know when the timing is right, and I want to write my book, Dom, I'm going to come to you because I've been listening to you for quite some time. Video with Tom, my podcast, it's on hiatus right now, but every time John speaks, I'm like, God, I gotta get in touch with him. So, but I truly believe in that divine timing because when it's right, and the person and the partnership will be that much more effective. So just because they don't buy right away, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong, that you need to rejig your whole process, create new products. It's just the timing. It's always the timing, and if they're ready for it or not. So wanted to share a couple of those. Thank you so much for the space. Long time listener, long time fan. Thank you.
Hey, Kathy, thank you very much. We appreciate the kind words, and it's awesome you were able to come up and speak today because you dropped some gems. I sometimes in this app, when I'm trying to explain it to new people like that don't use Clubhouse or like what's his social audio? Well, I'm like, it's like radio. Like, let's say the other day, I could go into a room. I have a meeting at 10:15. Somebody starts a room at 10. I got 15 minutes. So I might jump in a room and listen, and then I got to leave. Or last night it was like 10 o'clock and I see somebody had a room, and well, my wife went upstairs to take a shower and I'm down there just screwing around. I'm like, hey, I could jump in a room. So, or maybe you got a long drive, like Kathy said, another day, and you're able to listen for an hour. Or maybe we're talking about something that you don't like to talk about. Well, there's other channels, and you can turn the channel, jump in, and go find a room about surfing or business or whatever. And so that's why I think this is a good platform. But the thing about this platform is you also have a chance to raise your hand, share your story, come up on stage. Unlike when you're listening to a radio, you might, if you're not the 10th caller, you don't necessarily get on. But so I would say to anybody, check out this platform and put your earbuds in for an hour while you're working or do whatever. So thank you, Kathy. And that's my public service announcement. Clubhouse should pay me, by the way, for a public service announcement by that. All right, Johnny, man, what's going on with you today? How's my man, Johnny?
I am finer than frog hair, split 3 ways.
All right, bring it on. Bring it on. What else? What else you got? What else you got?
Well, I just joined the room, so I'm catching up on what you guys are talking about. But Matt's ticketing story got me intrigued. I got to reach out to him because ticketing is brutal. He said that, and it's true. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is John Pica, the Prophet of Pop Culture. I am a podcaster and a live entertainer, and I produce a show that's in residency at a theater right now called Beyond Smoke and Mirrors at the Palace Theater in Gallatin, Tennessee. And I had forgotten because I've not produced a live show at a theater since 2018. And I had forgotten how hard it can be to get people to buy tickets to something great. So it's not just the movie box offices that are struggling. Live theaters are struggling too. And I'm in the middle of that and doing okay, but it's brutal. The work you got to do to sell one ticket, it's amazing. It's not for the weak.
Johnny, one of the things we were talking about early on that this you can answer here. How do you know when to go into a new venture? So I know you did this before, but now all of a sudden you decided, yeah, I'm going back live on stage, and it's a big ordeal. Takes a lot of time. What's the payoff going to be? Is there a payoff? Like how do we know that it's time to make that decision?
It's time when you can't imagine doing anything else.
That's a good answer, man. I remember being in pharmaceuticals and like I'd get an award in pharmaceuticals or I'd be up on stage and I'd be thinking, I hope I'm not here next year. And like here I was, like I'm on stage 100% inauthentic because I'm thinking I don't want to be here at all. Or I'd be riding with my boss, and then as my business was growing a little bit, sometimes my boss would be like, well, sooner or later you're going to have to make a decision, because I could no longer hide it anymore that I was publishing books and things like that. Sooner or later, you're going to have to make a decision. And I was like, yeah, I am. And I remember one time he's pressuring me like that. And soon, Dom, I drop him off at the airport. He's like, well, I guess you're going to have to decide if you want to do this or if you want to do something else. For the next year, I went home every day and set my alarm for 5:01 and finished a screenplay I was working on, because I wanted to I considered it currency and I wanted to have it done before I left the pharmaceutical world. So that was one more. He just kept pushing me. And like Johnny said, I would be sick to my stomach not doing what I wanted to do. And then, so I just kept laying the blocks. My friend John Gardina talks about this. Here's your morning motivation. So my friend John Gardina, he's a teacher and he's an ultra athlete, and now he has a podcast, John Gardina's Classroom, and he talks about laying the foundation. And you can lay your blocks strong, and the wider you build your foundation, the stronger it's going to be. So he says, just keep building out, just keep building out. People want to go up real quick, up, skyrocket quick. Well, then your foundation's going to be weak. It's going to be shaky. So he says wider, wider, wider. And on those days where you're struggling to make the leap or struggling to do this, well, if you could put one more block down, Google one more thing, research one more thing, make one more connection, learn one more thing, you have laid stronger blocks for your business or your future. And so that's John Gardina. Follow John Gardina on Instagram too. All right. Carrie. Hey, Carrie, did you see I was in California? I met our friend, the failure guy. We played basketball at Venice Beach together.
I know, that was amazing. He sent me a picture of the two of you.
Yeah, he was dressed. He was doing material. So our friend, the failure guy, Ben Courier, he's chasing his dreams, which I love this. He's out in LA now and he's doing open mics and things like this. So we played basketball at Venice Beach, and he was doing material the whole time. I'm like, hey Ben, he's always doing material, is he not?
He's so funny. he's actually back in Boston right now visiting his mom, and I'm trying to get together with him, and I want him to come back to Boston because I'm like, come on, you're not going to end up full time in LA. Be real, you're a Bostonian. How many Bostonians end up in LA? None of them. But
he's chasing his dreams, which I advise anybody on here to do. Carrie, where are you at on starting new ventures and funnels? And Harry was saying, don't call it a funnel, and Tom said the same. Go on. What do you got for us?
I really resonated, like Johnny said, with what Matt said. It is such, welcome to the behind the scenes of the celebrity world or rock and roll. It's pretty brutal, and it's not getting any easier. I don't know. I mean, life is changing so fast, especially with AI and what's happening with writers. I'm watching it closely. I've been in this game for a long, long time, and it is going to come down to relationships. It's going to come down to talent. I did a really interesting interview yesterday, and then I go and hustle 2 shoots, and it's a tough grind. And I credit my career at the magazine because I had to always hustle and wait 14 hours before I did a shoot, and then turn it around and make like no money. So everyone thinks what I do is super fun and fabulous. I do it because I'm a creative, and sometimes when you're a creative, it's not the easiest path. So,
hey, Carrie, I have a question for you. So, have you found, this has been my experience since coming out of the pandemic, that the entertainment fields have become much more cutthroat, and it seems like everybody is looking out for themselves first and very self-centered, and has surprised me. Have you had that experience?
yeah, I mean, it's almost like I've had to start my business all over again since the pandemic, and I've been a photographer for almost 30 years. Magazine shut down. If any magazine's around, it's operating on a shoestring. So no one's talking about, they talk about the restaurants and all these other companies that didn't make it. But so think about it. If we're in a recession, photography is an extra. So it's the last thing on your list. But it's so important because it's your brand. And images talk, and images are going to put you, John knows that from Facebook and all his posts. Images do the talk words, but people, when they have to cut corners, they're going to cut on photography. They're going to cut on shows. They're going to cut on going out to dinner. We've had to cut on that. So yeah, I totally agree with you.
Sorry, I was a little slow to the mic there because I just shoved a piece of banana in my mouth, and I was
How many bananas do you eat a day? Like my wife hates when I buy bananas. They all go bad, but you can get a bunch for 93 cents. So every time I walk in, I buy them. But how many are you going through over there?
I mean, like typically one a day. It's sort of like my morning snack.
So, okay. So we're going down the rabbit hole here. If Tom eats 1 banana a day and he buys 5 bananas, there's no way the bananas aren't all brown and soggy by the time he gets to banana 4 and 5. He's not eating them.
Yes, it is. It depends on when you buy them and how you store them.
How do you store them? Tell me how to store a banana that doesn't get all brown by day 4 or 5. Somebody, come on, Johnny.
I mean, they don't.
You said it.
They don't go. I mean, this one's been in the house since Sunday, and it's like, I'll hold it up. You can look at the skin. It's not all brown.
No, it's not so bad. Sunday.
And there's no bruising on it. It's perfectly ripe. Like we just leave them sitting out on the counter. I think part of the trick is like, don't put them in an enclosed space, because they'll ripen faster in an enclosed space than they will kind of sitting out in the open. So yeah, they just sit on the counter. It's
All right.
really
I want to tell you
straightforward.
guys, I am a banana bread making machine. My banana breads are amazing.
I'm a fan of banana. I make brownies with banana in them. So when they get too ripe, that's where they go. So I make a batch of brownies with bananas in them.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good.
Tom,
I'm a fan.
before I interrupted, I think you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I did.
Sorry, yeah.
I did.
ADHD on parade.
Yep. Here we are on parade. So anyway, yeah, no, I did wanted to add in to what Carrie was saying. And I think a lot of it has to do with, and this is from my experience coming from the television industry. And I think some of this is probably translatable across to the print world as well. That a lot of the problems in those industries really come from an unwillingness to be flexible in a changing climate, in changing economic climate, and in a world where the way consumers, the way people consume media is changing really rapidly. From my experience coming from television, one of the issues that we really ran into, and one of the reasons that ultimately sort of led to me leaving that industry behind, was the fact that the broadcasters were really, really, really unwilling. Like, I mean, digging in their heels, kicking and screaming, unwilling to change their business model at all. Right? They had a business model. That business model had been working for like 40 or 50 years. Right? And they were like, we're not changing it. I don't care what people are doing. This is the way we do business. They're going to do it the way we want them to. And what they have found out the hard way is that ultimately they exist to serve the community. They exist to provide a service to people. And that service is delivering entertainment programming, right? But they only exist so long as people consume, right? Or buy into or enjoy or watch the entertainment that they're creating. And if they don't adapt their business model so that people will continue to consume the entertainment that they're creating, well, then they hit hard times. And that's exactly what we saw happening in the cable industry about 10 years ago. Is when it really kind of started to come to the forefront, kind of about the same time that Netflix really started to take off, and streaming. It was becoming abundantly clear that streaming was going to become the future of entertainment consumption for people. That ultimately that was going to be the way people consumed entertainment content, whether it's Game of Thrones or, like Friends. Even people, like, more people have watched or more people continue to watch shows like Friends and The Big Bang Theory on streaming than watch them when they were originally on. Right? I mean, it's something that the industry really, really railed against and fought hard, because they wanted to continue doing business the same way they'd always done business, because it had worked. And it was easy. They had streamlined their systems and their processes. So it was very cost effective, and they were raking in money, and they didn't want to have to adapt and try to figure out new ways to make money. And I'm sure that that's part of what you're experiencing, or what you've experienced in more recent times in the print industry as well, Carrie, that, at the end of the day, they just don't want to change, right? This is the way we do business, and people are gonna buy it because that's the way we do it. And they found out the hard way that at the end of the day, businesses only exist so long as customers, people, individuals continue to support them. And if you don't provide something valuable to people, then they'll stop supporting you, and your business will cease to exist. So it's just that businesses kind of got it the wrong way around. What do you think, Carrie?
Well, I survived the digital revolution with photography. So I had a business that was film for 10 years. And then we were all forced into digital, except Annie Leibovitz, I think, still works with film. But I refused to deal with it. So I sell portraits, and people pay a lot of money for the art that I provide. And when the digital revolution happened, you had all these like soccer mom photographers who came in and they'd turn and burn and give you. So let's just say I go out and I do a shoot for $500. They'd go out, do a shoot for $200. So I don't make my money on the shoot. The shoot is for me to do the shoot, come back, spend probably 2 days editing it, and then show them the best images and then print them. I have a fabulous printer. And I'm not creating widgets. Like this is, it takes a lot of time to create what I create. And so I had all these clients showing up saying, well, so-and-so is charging half and gives me all the images. I'm like, yeah, well, did you try printing them? Because they're going to be green or blue, or they're not going to be color corrected. They're not going to be cropped properly. And at that point, I just said, I'm going to dance on tables or waitress or do whatever. I don't care. I'm not doing this because it doesn't make sense. I can't make a living this way. And so I just held my ground and didn't make a lot of money, but all those clients came back and they were like, oh my God, I want that portrait that I can have framed, pick it up framed, and have it forever. So they got it. It took a while and they got it. So I survived it. It was not pretty, but people stopped me all over town and they're like, that family portrait, if someone's died or whatever, or the dog that's passed away, it means everything to them. So now I feel like I don't know what's going to happen to photography. With video is the next rising star because everyone will pay for content. I still think there's value. I still live for photography. I love my images. I'm not sure. I'd be interested to hear what people have to say, but
So
go ahead, Johnny, and then I got something to add.
yeah, so I was an A&R director for a Nashville music label in the mid 90s through the 2000s for about 7 years. And I left the industry. I was one of those guys who decided what the market was going to get. I was one of the suits, right? So I left the industry in 2001, 2002, because it was right in the middle of the digital revolution for digital distribution. Labels were jumping on Napster to shut them down. And although Napster was a piracy site, what they failed to realize was that iTunes was right around the corner. And that was going to become the new model, regardless of what they felt about Napster or not. And these record labels, and this particular one that I work for, it's one of the major ones in Nashville, just did not see it. They refused to adapt. They refused to, embrace coming technology, and they're not around like they were anymore. I mean, they still are, but they're relying on their back catalog to survive. And what happened was those labels that embraced digital distribution, they saw that the money wasn't in the creation of the albums. It wasn't even in the sale of CDs and cassette tapes at the time. Where the real money was in the live concert experience and the tickets, and the venues or the labels that survived changed their business model. Yes, they're still recording music and distributing music, and they're even still doing hard copy. Vinyl is huge now, by the way. It's made a huge comeback, but that's not where they're making their money. They're making their money because they've partnered with the artists on the tour revenue. And people, the more digital our entertainment becomes, the more AI and the more CGI that studios rely on, the more audiences crave the analog personal experience. So, artists are making their money on the road in front of audiences. And if labels didn't figure that out, they went away. And that's why I got out of the business, because the labels I was with, they didn't want to embrace a new model. But anyway, just some food for thought.
Thanks, Johnny. Yeah, I mean, Carrie, I think I agree with you. When you were talking, I thought of one of my favorite memes to point to talk about exactly the problem you're talking about, where like during the sort of digital photography revolution, everybody ran out, bought themselves a digital SLR and started calling themselves a photographer. And, very similar thing has happened since particularly since mirrorless cameras became really affordable. But since digital SLRs started recording video, that people could, for a couple of $1,000, go out and get themselves a camera that would shoot in HD or 4K, and they could start calling themselves a cinematographer or a filmmaker, right? And the meme that I'm talking about, and I'm sure it's one you've seen, is the mode selector dial on the top of it. It's the picture of a top of a camera. It's the mode selector dial on the top of the camera. And all it says is everyone's a photographer until, and then the mode selector is set to M, right? And it's like everyone's a photographer until they have to actually do the work of being a photographer, right? Everyone's a photographer so long as all they have to do is push a button, right? So it's one of those things, like, I think it made it easy for everyone to be an amateur, but it also made it a little bit harder to be a professional, because the space was so flooded with people marketing themselves disingenuously as photographers. Like, owning a camera does not make you a photographer, right? Having the ability to record video does not make you a cinematographer. If that was the case, then every single person in this room right now would be a cinematographer, right? Because I guarantee everybody in this room right now, everybody listening to this, everybody who watches this in the future likely has a smartphone in their pocket or in their hand that they're actually consuming this on, that they're listening to this on or watching this on, that records video. So having it doesn't mean you're an expert at it, right? Like, having a kitchen doesn't make you a chef, right? And I think that's the thing that a lot of people get really confused by, and what led to kind of this flooding of the market. And when you said people will pay for content, they'll pay, but they'll pay like their neighbor's kid down the street a couple of $100 to make like a series of videos for them. It's much, much more difficult to find somebody to pay actual professional rates to create content. That's a different story, but it becomes easier when you can sort of create that juxtaposition. And the way I explain it to people is, look, you get what you pay for, right? At the end of the day, it's true. Any place you go, like if you want McDonald's, like then spend McDonald's money and you'll get McDonald's, right? If you want fast food, spend fast food money, you'll get fast food, right? But if you want fine dining, you got to spend fine dining money, right? If you want really good food, if you want the best, you got to spend the money for it. And that's all it comes down to. But yeah, I like that one too. Like when people will say like, oh, like, well, I got a video camera on my phone. What do I need you for? And I'm like, yeah, you probably got a kitchen in your house, but would you call yourself a chef? Right? Like, of course you wouldn't. So it's just, again, I think it's just part of the ever-changing landscape, and it becomes more challenging. But I think every sort of time period has its challenges. But I definitely empathize with you, Carrie. I've been through a lot of that kind of stuff myself, and it can be incredibly frustrating. But at the end of the day, the people who appreciate the work that you do very much appreciate the work that you do. I know I've found that in my career, and it sounds like you've found that in yours as well with the folks that buy your portraits. So, yeah, just keep fighting the good fight, I think.
I think so. I mean, it makes it really tough, and it makes you just say, I'm going to not play small. Like, That's why I started the podcast, and I'm doing other things. I'm writing. I'm a creative in other areas, and I'm doing different things. But I was thinking about what Johnny said. So I'm friends with the lead singer of the Dropkick Murphys, and everybody knows the song "Shipping Up to Boston," I would think. But he makes his money touring. He has to tour. He has to play like every night, all over. They just go. They go back out in another city, and you would think with a platinum album that they were rolling in it. They're not. It's the touring because of what happened with iTunes and everything. So it's discouraging because these people are really talented and they should be paid. And I don't know what's in store with this writer's situation that's happening, and it kind of breaks my heart. It's like, pay the talent. So I don't know. I'm in it to win it.
I'm with you, Carrie. It breaks my heart too. But just one thing, real quick, Dom, and then I swear we'll stop monopolizing the conversation and get back. But no, in terms of the writer strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike, I know it's difficult right now, especially for the people who are on strike, who are directly affected, who are not, who are having trouble making ends meet because of the strike. It is incredibly difficult right now. But I believe that in the near term, there will be increased opportunity. And in the long term, ultimately, I believe that the strikers, the writers, and the actors are going to ultimately prevail, because at the end of the day, the studios are going to try to run a play end around. They've actually given up the ghost on their strategy and said that they're just going to try to starve them out, right? And they think they'll come back to the table and start begging for their jobs, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they're going to stay the course, and I think that the studios are going to be up for a rude awakening, in that they're going to have to just take a little bit of their billions of dollars of profit that they're making off of the creative work that these people are doing, and share it with the people who are generating the work product for them. And I think ultimately it's going to be a good thing. And the other reason I think it's an opportunity is, I'm going to say this again, is this is a great opportunity. SAG-AFTRA and the WGA are both willing to work with independent producers, with independent businesses outside of the struck companies, to continue creating projects. So there is a ton of opportunity in the independent film world right now for businesses that want to invest in independent producers. If you work with SAG-AFTRA, if you work with the WGA, they will sit down, they will write a contract with you, and if you abide by their contract, then you're off to the races. You'll get your film made, right? Right now, you'll get it made. And there's tons of people who want to work on those productions who are not working right now because IATSE is affected, and the other, the Teamsters are affected, et cetera, the other unions that work in the film industry. So there's tons of opportunity there. And then there's other opportunity for businesses. If you have a big marketing budget, if you've got the funding, if you've got a 7-figure, 8-figure marketing budget, take some of that money, put it into creating your own productions, work with SAG-AFTRA, fund a production, and take the social benefit credit from it, and tie your brand to that production and take the equity in that production as well. I think there's a ton of opportunity. I don't think it is all doom and gloom. I think there's an upside to this. It's going to be tough to get there. The road is challenging, but I think at the other end of the road, there's some better times ahead. So that's what I think is coming out of the strike. I'm forever the optimist, despite the fact that I'm a little pragmatic too. I don't know. I'm weird. Anyway, Dom, get us back on track, buddy.
No, you're doing good, man. And the room, I get a lot of messages when Tom drills down in. They're like, they'll be like, Tom's nerding out, but he knows his shit, So I'm like, yeah, this guy, like, yeah, those are great points. And like when you mentioned about the marketing budgets, you think like Red Bull or Mercedes could be making productions with all their cars in it, or Red Bull doing whatever, kind of production they're doing. And it's so simple. But okay, you make good points.
Doesn't even have to be their cars in it, right? Mercedes, it doesn't have to be your cars, right? It's just having your brand tied to it. Be a company that is standing with the workers, right? By producing and funding projects that they are working on, while the struck companies, right? While like Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery, et cetera, are refusing to do so. Be the company that says, actually, no, we value these people. We think they're worth the money, and we're going to work with them. Be that company. I'm telling you, it's a gold mine for your brand and for your business.
All right, now that we were serious, now we got to get unserious for a minute. Okay, it's that time. This is a really weird one today. Anybody that watches, you got to watch a live stream. Like Tom said, check it out. So every week I'll try to show something from around my collection, things that make me smile. Sometimes people give them to me. Sometimes I find them. Last week it was a Post Malone cup I got at Cane's. Jimmy, my friend Jimmy Aj, we went out to California, and I was out visiting his brother this time, and I got myself a Post Malone cup. But now, today, this my sister sent me. This is, I don't know if they're like finger rest Royal Rumble. It's Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, and they both have, they're like little trolls in this thing. They like you could see, like, I think it says they are DEFCON Mania Rocket Rumble, and it is two little characters that you're supposed to, I guess, like play with and wrestle back and forth, and it is Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, and it says, and I don't know where anybody stands politically, so, and that's not what I do, but on here it says Little Rocket Man, Little Kim Rocket Man, and it says Tweety Boy Trump, and they both have long hair like a troll would have. Then there on the back there is a tell of the tape, but I don't want to read it because it seems even more offensive than this might be in general.
When you first held it up, I swear to God, this is my first thought. Before I could read it, when you first held it up, I thought it was like Beavis and Butthead troll dolls.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like.
It kind of looks like that. So take Beavis and Butthead and then be 10 times more offensive. And this is what you have here on this, that my sister got me. So I did not purchase this myself, but it sits here and it makes me smile every once in a while. So that's what I got. Okay. Now we're moving on from that. Yeah. I love.
Wow.
Ooh, Johnny, you like his Beavis and Butthead, or what do you got? That was pretty good.
Shut up, Beavis.
I love Beavis and Butthead too. I want to tell you, I love Beavis and Butthead so much that when I was in high school or right after, me and my dad went to Beavis and Butthead. He loved them too because like he thought that a lot of his employees at his landscape company were like Beavis and Butthead. So we went to see Beavis and Butthead do America together. And then I bought Paramount Plus recently just to watch new Beavis and Buttheads, and I enjoyed them.
God, I haven't seen Beavis and Butthead in forever.
The new ones are great. Go on.
Are they? My buddy Alex and I used to like kind of joke around with each other. I mean, we were of the age. I think we were in like middle school when Beavis and Butthead came out. I think it was like middle school, something like that. But yeah, so we used to like sort of like, and a bunch of our friends, used to all like kind of do the impression like back and forth, right? Do the shut up, Beavis.
All right, you're making me laugh. All right, come on, we're moving on. We got to talk to my friend Amanda. So let me tell you about Amanda. One, because her videos on Instagram are so good. So one, you got to tell us what app you're using because they look so good. I love the content, but whatever you're doing it well. The words, the look, how close she is, perfect for the platform. So Amanda, take that pressure and jump in on whatever you want to talk about. Go on.
Hey guys, how's it going? Under pressure. No, I have fun with creating my content and it's super easy. I for those of you who may not do this, when you're on a podcast or even, your own episodes, when you have guests on, I always repurpose that content and just chop it up and create reels for my Instagram, whether it's to promote an upcoming episode or if I noted that I said something that just, ooh, that hit, let me save the mark, where that was, chop it up. There it is. It's content, and when you're a guest too, reach out to the host of the podcast and say, hey, do you mind if I take the raw content? Can you give me a copy of that? Chop it up. There you go. There's content without even having to sit down and record on your own. You have it for yourself.
Amanda, what app do you use? We love talking apps here. So what do you do?
So to create the content, I use Splashio, which is it's a paid platform, but you go on there, you tell them if you want a long form or short form content. You design it to fit your brand. And you can add them, have them add the cute little emojis if that's not your thing. If you like just straightforward black and white writing, you fit it to fit you. And they usually get back to you within 24 hours with your video.
Very cool. You're doing a good job on it. Do you want to weigh in on starting new ventures? What makes us start a new venture? Should we do it? Should we not? How do you know if it's right? Like you're sitting there, you're like, that's kind of a good idea, but it's going to take a lot of time. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to ever know unless you don't try it, right? And I'm all about failing because I know when we fail forward. Whether it's not saying every time you do something it's going to be a failure, but there's always learning experiences in everything that we do and every idea that we set forward and take action on. I recently just shifted the way that I do my show. And it's funny because I had a guest yesterday who wasn't down with the way that I am curating my show now. The usual interview, tell us what you do, where can people find you, what's your message, just became really rinse and repeat for me, and that's not knocking people who do that. That's your thing. A part of me feels like it's, I just have to keep it moving. I sat with myself one day and said, Amanda, if you were to have Oprah on your show, would you have a whole episode dedicated to just her talking about her experience being a talk show host? And I thought, no, I wouldn't do that. I want to know for my audience, which is women, and they're looking for inspiration. I would love Oprah to touch on things that are relevant to what's going on in the world, what's going on in the entertainment world, what's going on in women's minds, their mindset, their emotions. That's what I would want her to talk on because that's what's really going to hit home. And, being the title of my podcast, Staying Inspired, that's what's going to keep my audience inspired to do the things that they want to do and be the person they want to be. So, I have 2 episodes, I think, under my belt with this new flow. I have it broken up into like different segments. It's very radio show type, which is my ultimate goal. And I really love it. It really allows me to show more of my personality. And it brings, fun back into what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm sure I'll have my failures to learn from, but I'm here for it. I'm ready to dive in head first.
Hey, thank you for the tips, and you're doing a good job. So keep up the good work. I mean, I'm watching it and I see it. And you mentioned there it's for women, but here's a 45-year-old guy from Pittsburgh, and I'm digging it. So keep it up. All right, not the smartest guys in the room. We got to meet a couple more people here, but I did want to make a correction earlier. I was saying how I commented earlier on a bunch of people on LinkedIn and saying, hey, I wanted to point them out. They're doing a good job. And so I checked, and I had meant to write Prof T embraced video. And then I said embarrassed. She was correct, but now I did say embarrassed, but I meant embrace. She has embraced video. Here was somebody that came on, like we met over the last couple of years. And at first she didn't really like video, and now she's doing it more, getting better at it, more consistent with it, figuring out new things. So Prof T, you were right. And I'm sorry I put embarrassed, not embraced, but I fixed it. And that's the great thing about content. Anybody that's putting out content, you can always delete, you can always edit, but I run into so many authors and so many storytellers that are like, I'm going to post that on Friday. I'm going to post that next Tuesday. I'm going to post. So they wait. By next Tuesday, you could have reshared it again and wrote up a different bio, wrote up a different text and shared it again. You could have shared it 10 different ways by next Thursday. So don't wait. Share now. Okay, moving on. Heather Cox, what do you got for us today? How you doing?
Hey, good morning, everybody. How is everybody?
We're
doing
doing
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Sorry, my segue wasn't that good, but as we know, I got short attention span, so I jumped. So there you go. What do you got for us, Heather?
All good, all good. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about content creation and there's so many topics today, and I'm enjoying all of them. And I actually just started. I'm a social media manager for a lot of you who know, strategists, whatnot. And I actually just started with a client who is a podcast. So I'm excited to use my knowledge of content creation in regards to that. Also, I'm like upgrading my stuff because like I'm tired of being okay, y'all. I'm gonna tell you right now. I have a weakness. Yes. Oh my God, I have a weakness. And that is streaming and video. Like I'm awful at it. Like I don't know how I got so bad at it. So I'm trying to like, okay, what mic do I want to get? And this is just for like Google Team and Zooms for like my clients, or like, if I'm a podcast guest, right? Because I was a guest on a podcast and it literally sounded like I was on a freaking like two-way radio. I was like, I like don't even want to share the video because my audio was so freaking bad. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go down the rabbit hole.
Hold on. How did that even happen, Heather? How'd that even happen?
I don't know. I'm so good at behind the scenes, and that's my weakness. I'm an introvert. I have PTSD. I have social anxiety. I have depression. Like I'm very much behind the scenes. I don't like to, and this is why I love Clubhouse, because you don't have to see me. I can just talk. I'm so good at the phone, you guys. Like I can talk on the phone with clients for hours, but as long as they don't see me. But if I'm seen, that's the scary thing for me. And I'm working through that. And the camera is like what was the biggest issue. So and plus with the mic, and I was just so lost. And so I was like, okay, I went down this rabbit hole and I got a new mic. I got a like a tabletop boom arm thing. I got a camera that's like connected to my computer now, because before I was just pulling out my laptop and hooking up like a headset from Xbox. Like it was just ridiculous. So now I feel like, okay, like now my content creation, my content that I put out there in form of podcast or even just client videos, Zooms or Teams, it's just going to be so much better. And recordings are going to be better if I'm a podcast guest. And it's also going to give me more of a professional look, which is what I'm all about, right? Because I work with corporate brands and entities and large, restaurants and stuff like that. So, that's always been the hardest thing for me to do. And I think I figured it out finally. And with the help of my IT husband, who's in like IT security, and he's really good at the tech stuff. So he's kind of like my tech support for my business. But yeah, so I mean, the content creation is going to go a lot smoother. And for anybody who's doing like content creation for podcasting and whatnot, get CapCut. Like CapCut's awesome because you could just literally like, okay, so this is my process real quick. I'll like go over to YouTube, and I think it's like YT download or something like that. But also, if you can also download a YouTube video, like I think just from there now. But anyway, you got to get that YouTube video or that raw video and just put it over on CapCut. And CapCut has a great desktop ability too. So it doesn't have to be on your phone. But if you're like me who likes to do everything by the phone, CapCut's awesome. And they even have templates. So yeah, you may be chopping up your podcast episode into short form video, but you also got to make those sizzle reels. You got to make those like promotional content to promote the podcast in itself. So CapCut is like the jam. So thanks, guys.
Heather, so if I have CapCut, do I got to pay to remove the CapCut logo from the end? Because I don't want that on, right?
No. So No, you can. So when you go to the end, like, you know how you're like doing the video today, you could just click that end CapCut like scene that they put at the end and delete it, or you download it and then just go to your photos and then just crop out the end. CapCut doesn't usually put a watermark unless you are using the templates section of CapCut where it says export to TikTok without the watermark, or download to your camera roll with the watermark. How I get around that is I literally just export to TikTok. And when it exports to TikTok, it literally just downloads the video to your phone. And then it just takes you to TikTok. And it doesn't like post it. You can just like exit out of it. And that's how I get like the videos without the watermark using the CapCut template section. So that's how you do that.
Okay, I've started using it. I try every once in a while. It's got those things on the end. And then when I was downloading it, I was thinking maybe it wasn't carrying the sound when I downloaded it. So I'm like, they must want me to pay. But I like this idea of the desktop too. So that great feedback. Go on, Tom.
I'm curious about something. I don't use CapCut, but I'm curious. I just pulled it up, and what's the? Are there pay? Are there pay tiers? Like, what's the business model? Because it just says sign up for free. Like, what do you pay for? How do they make money?
So there's multiple things that you could do with CapCut, but there's the free version, which I use. And I mean, I use it for everything and I don't have to pay. But the pro version, they have, one-step auto correct of your video, the brightness, the sharpness, the clarity, stuff like that. You could do it manually, but they also have like pro transitions, pro filters, pro animations. So like all of these things. But then I don't think there's any like pro version over on the templates, but you also can become a creator. CapCut pays creators to create templates for other creators to use. So there's actually a CapCut creator program, which is pretty cool. So there's 2 tiers. It's just the free and then the pro version. And then I think you can select like what level of pro, but I haven't gone to that yet, which I might. But, free has been my jam for years now. So I haven't had any issues where I needed to go pro. And if I do, I think I just go to another app to do the thing that I need to be done. So
that's interesting and kind of ironic that the pro version is the one that does the like automatic color correct or the automatic image correction, where for somebody who is a pro, they would never do that using the automatic settings on any.
No, not at all. But a lot, sometimes videos could be too dark and it helps people, it's just for those who are DIY, but they also have like all the presets where you can just do it manually if you know how to do something like that.
Right. Yeah. Just ironic, right? That, Brian commented, about Premiere Pro, and that's what I use for everything that I create, but because it's a pro level platform, and it has a lot of integrations with other Adobe Suite softwares and all that kind of good stuff, but it's definitely not it's definitely not consumer friendly the way I'm sure CapCut is. But anyway.
Tom, I would think that something that's taken you, and I'm sure I know you're an expert at it. I would think you'd be down to the whole video would be done for 5 different platforms in 5 minutes using CapCut. Once you had the 30 seconds of content, you know what I mean? So once you to add all your titles, to add whatever, and maybe that's all it takes you on Premiere.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I haven't really played with CapCut. My problem is I just don't have enough time to, spend a lot of time editing my own stuff. Right. I'm the cobbler without shoes. Right. So yeah, that's
all right. Let's do this. All right, Julie Rock, and then Tom's going to wrap up for us. It's 11:14. Julie Rock, give us some motivation. What do you got going on today? Weigh in on all these things, and then we are out. What do you got, Julie?
Hey, everyone. What do I have for you today? I'm just kind of half working, half listening. I am going to try CapCut, and I think what do you use
right now?
I mean, I'm in love with Camtasia.
Okay, never heard of it.
Camtasia is how I do all my video editing and I do my podcast editing. It's the easiest way for me to edit video. It's
Are
what
you saying Canvasia or can? What was it?
Cam, C-A-M, as in Mary, Tasia. It's
Okay.
part of the suite with Snagit. And so it's Snagit, and they have this thing called TechSmith. And so they have this like a library where you pay. I'm probably paying way too much money for this, but there's a video library, an audio library, and image library I pay for every year. And so you can take their live moving video and create new videos. So I do a lot of voiceover with using all these different like video assets. And so I look like I'm like a professional video person, you know? I don't know if I guess to the average person, I look like I'm a professional video person. To a video person, I look like I'm an amateur. But what I do is I do a lot of commercials. Like I develop a lot of little mini commercials for the things that I do. Like I have a podcast commercial, all the training courses I do have commercials and things like that. So I do like these 1-minute clips with my voice and like moving video on top. So I like it because it's a little bit more enhanced than maybe it probably does more than some of these other programs, but it does less than like a Premiere, which I just don't want to get into. I tried it once and it's way better than like any iMovie you'd ever see. So if you don't know how to do video and you find things complicated, this is a amazing program. There's also another program in there called Audiate, which is like a system that you can go and just see the audio version of your podcast. So then you can go in and, erase all of the different things. But I'm sure there's a cheaper way to do it. I've just been sort of into this. I'm into it.
No, good stuff. I used Video Shop forever, and I still use Video Shop from time to time. The text isn't, but then at one point I started making a higher grade of video, and I thought I needed to get into Premiere. I bought a nicer camera because I thought, wow, I should probably be charging, and I didn't want to charge and be using Video Shop. So then I got into Premiere, and it was like learning a whole new language. And the more I learned about Premiere, the more I realized I had no idea what I was talking about, and I got the hell out of that. So speaking of getting the hell out of things, Tom, I got nothing left to say. I'm done. I love all you guys. Tom's going to wrap us up. What do you got, Tom?
So something came into my head earlier, or popped into my mind earlier, when when Heather was talking about getting herself all set up for podcasts and for interviews, and getting her audio all squared away, and kind of going through that whole process and trying to figure out what was wrong and not knowing what to fix or how to fix it or what needed to be fixed or what next steps were. And it just got me thinking that one of the things that I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, and I know I struggle with, right, is asking for help. I am terrible at asking for help. It's something I have always had difficulty with. I think it's probably part of the reason why, despite the fact that I end almost every conversation I have with somebody, if I can ever be of any help to you, think of me as a resource, feel free to reach out anytime. Almost all of my conversations, networking conversations, business meetings, and the same way with that kind of statement. My emails, even. My email signature is literally not sincerely or best or warm regards or any of those kinds of things that people usually have in their email signatures. My email signature is literally here to help, Tom. That's my email signature. And I offer my assistance, my help to people all the time because I love talking about what I do. I love doing what I do. And so I have no problem kind of sharing the, 20 plus years, 45 and change 1,000 plus hours of experience I have, with people. I'm always happy to help when I can. and it's, you know, maybe it's because I want to be one of the helpers that Mr. Rogers was talking about, that you should always look for the helpers, right? Maybe it's because I want to be one of those helpers. But you know, it just got me thinking that it is hard to ask for help. It is sort of it feels anti-entrepreneurial, right? Because part of being an entrepreneur is striking it out on your own, being self-reliant, being able to tackle problems and adapt and overcome on your own. But at the end of the day, I've come to realize and to know, and I think every successful entrepreneur has come to realize and to know, that you cannot do it by yourself. You have to ask for help. It's incredibly important. And I know that because I came out of a conversation yesterday. I know I've actually finally started to turn the corner on this struggle myself, because I came out of a conversation yesterday. I was telling Dom about this before we got on. Was talking with a colleague at a nonprofit locally, and exploring opportunities to potentially partner together on a project. But we need a little funding to get the project off the ground, specifically some funding for the nonprofit who owns the brick and mortar space that we would be using to help with the build out for this partnership. And so I'm going to start reaching out to folks that I know, people in my network, people who might know a thing or two about grant writing, people that might know a thing or two about securing funding for nonprofit expansion work in New York. And I'm going to ask for help, because I really want to see this happen. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic way to help this nonprofit and further their mission in creating job training programming for the disabled and veteran communities that they serve. But also it's a great opportunity for my business and for other small business owners to help get their businesses off the ground. So I'm going to ask for help, because at the end of the day, I am never going to accomplish what I want to accomplish. I am never going to affect the change in the world that I want to affect. I'm never going to humanize the world of business through better communication if I don't ask for help from people. So that's what I'm going to wrap it up with today. If you need help, please ask for it. And Heather, I know you left, but if you hear this at some point, hit me up. I'm happy to help anytime I can. And that goes for anybody here, anybody listening. Hit me up. You can find me all over social media or online on my website. Just reach out. I'm always happy to help. And that's all I got for today. So thanks so much for everybody being here. Dom's holding up his crazy troll dolls that look like Beavis and Butthead. But yeah, thanks for everybody being here. We love you guys. We do this, guys. We do this room for you guys. We do this show for you guys. You all are the reason we keep coming back week after week. So thank you so much for your time, your attention, your support, your wisdom, because we all know that Dom and I are not the smartest guys in the room. So thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. We love you guys. Bye-bye now.